do think it's imperative that the Prime Minister do what he can to stop the rise in COVID in the UK. Oh. He doesn't need to shut the society down, but he does need to mandate vaccines.
By mandate vaccines, you mean what we would call vaccine passports, insist that people coming into buildings, into clubs, into restaurants show evidence they have
employers.
been vaccinated.
I mean, part of what we've done in New York, for example, is all of the big health systems, hospitals and the like, they've mandated vaccines. And so, for example, one very large one, 77,000 employees, 1,000 refused to get vaccinated, they were fired.
1,000 refused to get vaccinated, they were fired.
So if it's pausing because you think the board was mischaracterized, then the disinformation board is being shut down because of disinformation? Is that what's happening here?
Look, I mean, the board was put forth for a purpose, right? To make sure that we really did address what was happening across the country when it came to disinformation.
And it's okay right now, 75 days.
It's just it's going to pause. There's been a mischaracterizations from outside forces, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to pause it and we're going to do an assessment. But the work doesn't stop. We're still going to continue the work. The DHS is still going to continue the work.
Okay.
Before we get started with today's video, remember Mad Magazine before they went all woke on us? Among other aspects of life, they would hilariously use satire to mock and expose both the left and right political parties. Well, there's another magazine that's light years beyond that, 100% independent Flip City magazine. I personally think they're better than Mad because they pull no punches. They'll take a stab at not only Klaus, Great Reset, Schwab, Gill, Final Solution, Bates, and St. Anthony Fraudstey, but they'll give you the bad and the ugly about Dennis Zio Prager, Charlie Kirk, and Dan World Economic Forum Red Flag Law Crenshaw. It's an uncensored free speech magazine from great artists and writers that you're going to love, treating woke like the joke it actually is. There's really no magazine like it. Support these free speech heroes. Go to flipcitymag.com and get a subscription today. The link is in the description. During his visit to the grief-stricken community, the president made broad but brief calls on Congress for change, including an assault weapons ban. Why would you want... Has anybody put a 1 in the room if you've seen the actual video of that guy doing that thing in Buffalo? Put a 1 in the room if you've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it many times. I slowed it down. I counted the shots. Before he even walked in, he had already fired his weapon 19 times. He'd already fired, 5 into the window. And the first individual that became a victim was not a black person. It was a white person. If you look at that thing, if you look at that through the lenses of sanity, there's no way you can come to the conclusion of, we need to ban the firearm in the shooter's hand. We need to ban the firearm from the hands of every person who didn't do what the shooter did. We need to not only ban and vilify this particular firearm that we're going to call an assault weapon, and then we're going to ban it. When the ban actually goes into law, we're going to criminalize everybody who holds it. How does that even make any sense? Why wouldn't you go, man, I wish the people in that store were trained and heavily armed. Then they could take up their positions and take this guy out without having to resort to calling the government for help. But that's not what the government does. The government wants to leave you as a victim. They want to disempower you. They want to actually criminalize you because this guy happened to use the very same kind of gun that you have in a closet that's never jumped off of its shelf, loaded itself, and pulled its own trigger to go off somebody in a post office or a restaurant or a grocery store somewhere. This is how these people think. And they're not thinking it because they think or perceive in their minds that it's going to keep you safe. It's about control. Anybody who would sign onto this or say what Eric Swalwell said, let me show you. Let me see if I can find what Eric Swalwell said. Oh, yeah. I know where to find it. Let's see. I posted it on my... posted on my Twitter feed. Check out what... Tell me if you believe that Eric Swalwell really had this conversation with his 4-year-old, his 4-year-old. He says, my 4-year-old just FaceTimed me to ask what I'm doing to help the people of Buffalo and why did the bad man do this? Absolutely gutting. You know what's gutting to me? swallow well, I don't believe one word you're saying. That's cutting to me that you're going to just sit here and blatantly lie. And then 61,032 people have already believed the lie. And it's like, oh my God, a 4-year-old had to ask that question. What kind of world are we living in? Ban assault weapons. God, please help us, Eric Swalwell, because we know you care about us so much. By the way, how's that relationship with China going? This cannot be his normal. It's time to ban assault weapons. So what's he appealing to? He's appealing to emotion. My little 4-year-old came to me and asked, Daddy, what are you going to do to help the people in Buffalo? Why did this bad man do this? What if somebody else, 4-year-old, asked them, how come all those people in the store were disarmed for this psychopath's convenience? As a matter of fact, you know what I should tweet out? I should actually do this. I should do it live. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to retweet this. Let's see. What should we say? My 4-year-old asked me, why weren't all those people in that Buffalo grocery store heavily armed and trained to take out the psychopath? I answered, TV, my son. TV. Let's see. What do you guys think before I hit the button on that? How am I still on Twitter? Says Trot Golfer. Why didn't they shoot back? I wanted to do something a little bit more, like the sentence structure, a little bit more complex, so that people would know that my 4-year-old did not ask this question. His 4-year-old did not ask that question right there. At least not unprompted and unprovoked. My 4-year-old asked me, why weren't all those people in that grocery store heavily armed and trained to take out the psychopath without having to rely on the government for help? TV, my son. Let's see. They believe everything on TV. Ship it. Send it. Tweet it. God. Yeah, we all believe you, Eric Swallowwell. We're not swallowing it. Swallowwell. So, yeah, there you go. Rolling Stone. Isn't a lone wolf. He's a mainstream Republican. Doggone it. So we got to continue to play the left versus right paradigm lie. Solidify people in their cognitive dissonance. Oh, that's what I should have said. Cognitive dissonance, my son. Cognitive dissonance. So, yeah, you got this supposed shooter for the Buffalo thing that happened, donning the same symbolism that the Azov anti-Jays, pro-white supremacy group in the U country are donning. You know, so if you got any kind of influence anywhere, it's probably the guy wearing the same symbolism as the radicalized people in the U military. So the answer to all this, and I love this right here. Comes from Miss Ezel. I don't know who she is, but apparently she's a black lady in Chicago, and she's standing behind her target, which, yeah, that's pretty good grouping right there. That's right. Gun rights or women's rights. And then you got this right here. Doesn't that do your heart good to see somebody empowering themselves? It does me. You know what's different from you and politicians and mainstream media? Politicians and mainstream media want to disarm black people. You and I want to see them armed and empowered and want to see them well trained so that they can take on a guy like this. And somebody I think it was Nathan Stoltman, said, he responded to one of my tweets, and I totally agree. It would be difficult if indeed everything happened at that Buffalo grocery store as they said. I'm just saying if, okay? If it really happened, it would be hard to prepare for something like that, because if you watch the video, this guy caught everybody off guard. It would be easy to catch you or me off guard. It would be very difficult to defend yourself against somebody that got out of the car with a firearm and is already in the progress of aiming that firearm at you, even if you had a firearm on. But the point is, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. At least you have a chance. At least you're not being legislated out of carrying that said firearm. Because that's what they're doing. They're actually, when a politician makes an anti-gun law, it's an anti-gun law against black people. and against brown people and against yellow people as well as white. Just put the white people on the shelf for the sake of fake stream media. You want to disarm black people. And they're like, no, we want to disarm all people. Yeah, and that includes black people. So you want to disempower black people. Don't try to cover it up and start blowing smoke and try to take me into the hall of mirrors and try to be deceptive about it. You want to disarm black people. You want to disarm minorities. You want to disarm women. You want to disarm trans people. You must be homophobic because you also want to disarm gay people. You're transphobic. You're homophobic. I want trans people to be armed. How about you? You want trans people to be armed too. Guess who doesn't? Mainstream media. Donald Lamone doesn't want trans people armed. Politicians don't want trans people armed. I want them armed because I want them to be in the best position to protect themselves and their families. It's crazy stuff that's going on here. Yeah, 7 sons. I almost said that, huh? So I applaud this lady for her self-determination, her self-governance, her self-empowerment. That's how you do it. Does that mean that you will never encounter somebody who's going to have better firepower than you and take you out? No, this does not mean that, but at least you got a chance. At least you can run and get into position. And sometimes you don't even have time to run. Like the first victim of this guy did not have time to run. Neither the second and the third and the fourth victim did not have time to run. When those shots fire, I'm sure it's natural instinct to kind of, like, once your body fills up with all that adrenaline, to just kind of freeze. And it's like, what the heck's going on here? This is surreal. This can't be happening to me on a Saturday afternoon shopping to get groceries for my family. It can't be happening. I don't care how highly, I don't care if it was a Navy SEAL. I don't care how highly trained you are. It's going to be easy for anybody on the wrong day or the right day, however you want to put it, to be prepared for that kind of onslaught. It'd be very difficult. But at least you have a chance if you got a firearm. At least you could run. At least you could get into position. And so instead of waiting to be shot, you could be the one waiting to shoot. With all the crazy stated plans of the Great Reset, the currency reset, and even the food reset, it's not a matter of if the store shelves are going to clear and there's a lack of food. The question is when. You need to get long-term storable food. It doesn't matter if it's from me or you just go to the store and you buy food. Just grab dry, storable food while you can. If you want to get it from me, you're going to support the channel and you're going to help yourself out because my link has a discount code embedded within it. You can check that out in the description below.